Well, I bought 15 yards of 84-inch wide canvas. A normal buggy top, single seat doctor's buggy will take 3 yards for a top. A 2-seat buggy like that Democrat that I did takes 5 yards. This sheep wagon is going to take 15 yards. So over the top, from the midway point down is about 80 inches, so I need 160 inches across from side to side over the top. And this is 12 feet long. Well, this canvas will want to shrink in its length direction the most. And I talked to them where I bought this canvas and they said it can go up to 10%. So I need to cut these extra long. 10%, if I go 13 feet, that could be a possible 13 inches of shrink, which would make me too short for a 12-foot wagon box. So I'm going to go at least 13 and a half. I bought enough to actually go 14 feet. Maybe I'll go better on the long side. But I want to cut these two at the 13 and a half, 14 feet length. And then I'm going to seam them together in the middle. And then I'm going to take them and soak them down with water, get them good and wet, get that shrink out of it before I try to stretch it onto this top. And I'll do the same for the front panel and the rear panel also. So what I'm sewing is called a flat-felled seam. This was the first stitch where I did the overlap and tied the two together. Then I fold it over so that the raw edge is within the fold. And then I did this top stitch here. Well, I need to tie this loose end down as well. So I'm going to come back here and use my foot as a gauge. I'm going to stay, about a 1/4 inch off of this stitch. And I'll just run another stitch down alongside this stitch. That will tie that down, and that's a really strong stitch. This will be the visible side, this will be underneath, and that center slat that goes from the front bow to the back bow, this will be on top of that, so you'll never see that. And actually this is on top of the wagon and you won't see any of it anyway. So this will be my final stitch. So before I take this down to finish size, width, and length, I'm going to spread it out on the grass and put the water hose on it. I would like this to pre-shrink before I do my final fitting. Well, our thermometer says we're 96 degrees today. I'm kind of curious how much shrink we got out of this. Out there, that says 13 feet. I got that right on the edge or not. I started out with 14. Yeah, 13 to maybe 13.1. So we lost 11 to 12 inches in shrinkage. I don't know what our overall length was with this, but we started with 84 inches in width. And now we're down to 82, so we lost 2 inches in width. They told me that the majority of shrinkage would be in the length, and that sure seems to be. The wind has died down some, so that's kind of nice. Put hoses on here to keep it from flying away. Run her back to the shop. Well, to measure this out on the lawn is pretty much just a rough estimate. I'd like to spread this out and get a more accurate measurement, and I'd like to do both sides to see if we got shrink evenly throughout this whole piece of material. Well, we only lost 8 inches in shrink instead of 12. That's nice. It's nice to have extra than not enough. So I'm going to put a hem on one side that I can put a rope through to kind of tighten this up. And then I have to get a better accurate measurement on the bows themselves. So the bows are actually inset from the end of the box. The box is 12 feet, but that's not the end of the bows. I need to measure the bows themselves. Well, there are a lot of sheep wagons where this door and the end of the bows comes right out to the end of the box, but we had the remnants of this old box, and so we know that this is where the position of the bows were and the door frame. So we've got a couple inches here that it's inset, actually about 2.5. So our length of our bows is going to be shorter by about 5 inches. So if I measure the slat from the back bow to the front bow, it'll give us our measurement, and it is 11 feet 7 inches, 139 inches. So if I put a hem on the end of this and a rope for a drawstring, the closest point that I have is at the corner of this door to the top. And we're actually about 4 inches, so I'd like to keep it maybe closer to 3. If I put a 3-inch hem in there, that should be enough for a drawstring to bring that around. If I'm a little strong, I could be 3.5, but we'll shoot for that 3-inch area. And there's nothing really saying that we couldn't have a little deeper hem on the back side. We have lots of room to this window. We could easily do a 4 to 5 inch hem back here. and allow us some extra room so we can kind of play with that a little bit. So I might figure a little stronger than that 11 feet 7 inches. And if we draw the excess back here, that won't be such a bad thing. So I have about a 2.5 inch hem to this edge here. So if I figure that to be 3 inches, that's about where the edge of the bow is going to be. So if I come down maybe 11 feet 8 inches, that'll allow a 4-inch hem for the backside. So if this is our 11 feet 8 inches, and I allowed 6 inches for the hem, which would put us up into this area to trim this off to. Then we'll fold that, make a hem, and bring this back to that point, and that'll give us our 11/8 between our bows, 3 inches in front, 4 inches in back. And it looks like that's going to leave us about 7 inches extra. And since I already pre-measured both sides, I should be able to just take this 7 off the end. Well, looks like we're pretty close on our pre-fit. I'm a little long on the sides, but that's good. I wanted to trim that to fit. So we got the regular install to do, probably this coming up week. This whole front and the back gets covered first, but I wanted to see how this went. Step in the right direction. Appreciate you following along. Thanks for watching.